LAWsome by Consultwebs. Breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm with your host, Tanner Jones.
Hello everyone. Today on our show, we're speaking with David Vtipil, partner at Younce, Vtipil, Baznik Banks, a very successful personal injury and family law firm in Raleigh, North Carolina, where David's been practicing law since 1993. We'll be discussing what it takes to run a successful personal injury law practice in today's market, and also touch on some of the permanent impacts COVID has had on the legal industry. David, thank you for taking time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So let's jump right in. COVID forced everyone to change the way they operate, especially the way they run business as business owners. So, I don't think law firms were much different from the typical entrepreneur during this time. So can you take us through some of the changes your firm has implemented over the last 12 to 18 months?
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Like all businesses, we had to kind of reimagine our work environment to keep our staff safe as well as our clients. While we have in the past provided work from home opportunities for attorneys, we now, after COVID hit, provided the same opportunity for our staff. This meant upgrading our computer systems, both on the security side and the work production side, to allow for telecommuting. We had to upgrade our phone systems to allow for seamless phone communication for staff as well. And that's not very different from what a lot of businesses were already facing during the pandemic. On the client side, while we've always been known as very client responsive, we stepped it up a notch so that our clients knew that we were there for them in these very difficult times. That meant creating more communication pathways through Zoom, Facebook, WebEx, etc. Among the lessons we learned during the pandemic, one of them was that it actually didn't cause as much disruption as we thought it would. And actually, our staff were as productive, if not more productive, than they were from working at the office. And of course, like most businesses, we learned during the pandemic that working at home could be just as productive as working in the office. And of course, we kept our focus with our staff as well as our clients on their well-being, which was very important to us.
Yeah, it's so interesting, David. I've been working with attorneys now over a decade, and I believe personally, I've seen just the legal industry dig their heels in the ground on traditional processes and really holding back on adopting more of the virtual setting. And I think, if anything, COVID forced business owners to really begin to think proactively and think from the perspective of their customer shoes. But specifically within the personal injury practice area, what changes have you seen taking place? And I know it's still evolving, but what are you seeing right now?
Sure. In general, the pandemic has put attorneys and the court systems into using technology like Zoom and WebEx, which allowed us to conduct hearings and mediations virtually. And as a result, I think we came out of the pandemic, and some of that's going to stay. I can definitely see mediations continuing to have that option to be conducted via Zoom into the future. Now, specifically in regards to the personal injury practice area, I see technology, again, creating all kinds of opportunities. And I'm not talking now just in reference to the pandemic. I'm talking about other areas of practice that are going to be opening up if they haven't already. Ride-sharing services like Uber, over the next 5 years, those are going to be playing out, and it's a big, great unknown. But what's certain is that we will begin to see significant changes to the industry in 2021 that will affect personal injury law. There's an opportunity here for firms to stand out from the competition by developing knowledge in ride-sharing law, particularly when it comes to autonomous vehicles. It's going to be a competitive advantage for someone to learn and develop a skill set involving AI technology, so that if a personal injury claim arises from the decision-making function of these cars, the attorney is going to be able to better advise and represent their client in that claim. Along this same line, there are going to be new laws that will determine the liability of the manufacturers of these vehicles and the drivers of these vehicles. For example, who's going to be responsible when the AI does not realize that the risk of a rear-end collision is imminent, and a driver looking at his iPhone could have prevented by taking over the drive function? Also, in regards to the pandemic and workers' compensation, with more people working from home, even part-time, with them going back to the office, but still working part-time from home, there's going to be a lot of litigation about accidents and injuries that occur at home, but while the client is on the clock. Did the injury and accident arise out of and in the scope of the employment will become a hotly contested area.
That's so intriguing. And I see that, and I think it's so important. I think it was Wayne Gretzky that said, you skate to where the puck is going. And for business owners, that's never been more important, because it seems like changes are being accelerated right now with this massive shift in the workplace. And so following right along with that concept of trends, specifically what trends do you see impacting how your firm, David, how your firm's settling cases for clients when insurance companies are involved? Or specifically, how is your law firm adjusting to those?
Sure. Yeah, well, when the pandemic hit and shortly thereafter with all the courts and the hearing offices being closed, it was very touch and go when it came to settlement practices. But again, technology stepped in to allow us to readjust, whether it's fax by email or DocuSign and scanning technology. We've been able to kind of overcome getting our cases resolved with not a lot of obstacles. So, I mean, that part initially in the early stages was very concerning, but because of the technology that's out there and attorneys who are very resistant to change, we tend to dig in our heels when it comes to these kinds of things. We were able to kind of adapt, look at what we needed to keep the work flowing through the office and accomplish settlements for our clients.
Yeah, and it's, as we've all just continued to kind of see how this all shakes out and seeing how quickly it's accelerated certain business practices, how about from the client's perspective, those who are searching for your firm or looking for legal representation, how has your firm made sure those clients know that you're a quality option for legal representation?
Absolutely. First off, providing excellent service to our clients and getting the results that they need is its own form of marketing. I mean, when clients know that you have their best interest at heart and you provide them with the legal advice that allows them to accomplish their goals, suddenly they're going to start referring clients to you. This was true when I started 28 years ago, and it's absolutely still true today. However, you still have to market, and that's where having a solid partner in digital marketing like Consultwebs can make all the difference. They can help make sure that you have a digital presence in both natural results or SEO, and then also in something that's developed over the last year or so too, and that's these Google local service ads that have become very big during the pandemic. All of those ways are, basically showing you how we can get our clients in the front door.
We've talked a lot about the trends and the changes your firm has made, and just in order to stay competitive, to stay ahead and be a good service to your clients. But there's also foundational elements to any successful law practice that really should never change, regardless of a pandemic or other uncontrollable events. So at the heart of it, what are the core ideas or the principles that you've personally found should remain rock solid when it comes to running a successful practice?
Treating people with kindness and respect. I know it sounds so simple, but it really is the basis of our business, and it really should be the basis of any business. I mean, a law firm is a profession and a business, and we sell our services to get a client from point A, a problem, and point B, a solution. But you're not going to be able to have that client as a client if they don't hire you. And that means treating that client as you would want to be treated. That first meeting should be used to educate the client about the process and taking some of the mystery away from the legal process. From there, you develop a joint game plan to execute. It means also keeping your clients informed about their case by copying them on everything, emails, letters, what have you. It also means returning their phone calls as soon as you can. My personal goal is when I'm in the office is to return all my client phone calls in the same business day. And you'd be surprised how often that's not something that other law firms execute on. Keeping those lines of communication open, very important. And clients feel respected when you return their phone calls because they realize that you value that relationship. It also means helping people make legal decisions, but also informing them what happens after you reach the solution. For instance, with workers' comp clients, that means a discussion about how they're going to handle making their way in the world after the case is settled. Because I sleep better when I know that they have a plan about their career and how they're going to make it financially. I'm not saying I'm a financial planner or giving such advice, but I want them to be aware of what's going to happen after the case is resolved and that they made a plan about how to take care of themselves and their family. This is just an example of the kind of discussions we have to help put our clients or see our clients through the legal process. And of course, treating people with kindness and respect is not just to our clients, but our employees as well. When you hire well and you spend time training someone who then excels at their job, you want to find ways to keep them. A lot of the folks who work for us have been here for 15 to over 20 years. That's almost unheard of in businesses today, especially small businesses. But we do that by making them feel part of a family. Then, and this is the boring part, and it sounds boring, I know, but office procedures. New lawyers think it's as simple as hanging up a shingle and advertising for business. But you have to figure out how work flows through your office, who's responsible for what, and how things need to be done in the most efficient manner possible. If you don't think about those things, everything suffers. Clients get mad about time delays, employees become happy because they don't know how things are supposed to flow, what's predictable and what is not, and your work suffers and your business suffers. Spending time figuring these things out from the get-go makes a world of difference.
I really like that. And you didn't hit on the term culture, David, but that's what I hear screaming through the words that you shared. And culture is something that you clearly did not respond to COVID by creating culture. Culture had already been set and implemented to a large degree before then. And I from the outside, looking in, if you will, and hearing what you're sharing, I think it speaks numbers to how you've just invested and poured into the firm to create a commitment to that, treating people kind and respectful. I mean, that's people at the heart of it. People do business with people, not law firms. And so if they can connect and relate, that is one of the key ways to grow any business. And so I applaud you for doing that, and you've proven it. You've proven it well. So thank you very much for sharing all those wonderful thoughts and ways that you've responded to COVID, and certainly wish your firm the best. Are there any closing thoughts or advice that would benefit the legal professionals that are listening?
Absolutely. Constant learning, whether it's legal expertise or staying on top of technological changes. Keep your skill set sharp, educate your clients, treat them well, respect your staff, and you can have a successful career.
David, what's the best way for listeners to contact you?
Certainly. You can visit our website, attorneync.com, on the internet. You can certainly contact me via email, or you can contact us by calling our local number, 919-661-9000, or our toll-free number, 1-800-811-9495.
Thank you, David.
LAWsome by Consultwebs. Breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm with your host, Tanner Jones.